Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of First Issue Club, the weekly podcast where we cover comic books and aid you through the muddy and murky water of the landscape of which I just described, comic books. Welcome back. My name is Greg, one of your hosts. With me today is Mike D, Caitlin, Budget King, and we have a new person in the studio who we'll introduce later.
The suspense! Don't you dare fucking talk until we've introduced you properly.
Suspense building.
But like later is in like you're gonna do it now.
Later as in, I'm going to tell what books we're going to cover, and then I'll introduce the person.
I wasn't critiquing.
I'm going to do that. That's how we're going to do it. I'm the host. That's how we're going to do it.
Okay.
So this episode, we'll be covering clocks on IDW. Is that right? Or is that on
Image.
Oh,
clock.
Image, caveat, top cow. So
Also the clock, not clocks.
the clocks. So
Made famous by Coldplay.
one singular clock, which
With the in front of it.
if that isn't your cup of tea, sorry. There's only one clock in here.
Clocks sounded like a joke because we're gonna cover clocks, we're gonna cover windows, we're gonna cover doors.
Ever heard of chairs? We're covering them.
What's that podcast where they do like the inanimate object and they interview it?
Everything is alive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That sounds
It's
fun.
great.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
The one
That's
I
a great
listened to was a jack-o'-lantern, and it was like describing in graphic, gory detail that they just butcher him and his friends every year.
Well, if you like that, check out that podcast. Mm-hmm. But you're back here with First Issue Club. We'll also be covering Star out on Marvel. But let's get into this podcast and our super secret guest, Shannon.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, our
here.
new friend, new old
Yeah.
friend. Now your new old friend, Shannon.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty
Yeah.
good way to describe me. A new old friend.
Yes.
Shannon
I'm
is
everyone's new old
yeah.
friend.
Shannon is longtime friends with Mike D and Budget King. She'll make an appearance on the Patreon episode that we're
that
doing.
you guys just recorded.
Yeah.
And
Peek behind the curtain.
Yep. She just supported her on Patreon, so we appreciate that. Been listening to the podcast for a while, so she was in town.
Big fan.
And
Yeah, she's from. Well, you live in Portland now, but you are
Yeah.
from Kansas City.
Yeah, so I'm from Kansas City. Grew up in Olathe, but I wasn't rich. And then I moved out to
Kansas City joke.
I left Kansas City.
Yeah.
I left Kansas City when I was 26, and I moved to France, and then I was there for most of my 20s, and I moved to Portland, Oregon when I
What
got
is
into
that
my
like
30s.
living in France in your 20s?
And you're great.
Is it really?
I worked for an English brewery. It was awesome.
is that where you got into comics? Was France?
Yeah, actually it was because in France comics are not like nerdy and like frowned upon. Like I felt like especially back then, like it is becoming more of a thing now, but like
It's like manga in
especially back
Japan.
then, yeah. And so like everyone reads comics. It's more graphic novels that they get into. So,
Yeah.
but like that's actually one of the first comic books I ever read was The Walking Dead, and I read it in French to learn French. So I read I think the first 14 books, and then I was just like, all right, I'm done.
I get it, zombies.
Yeah.
14 is a fair shake
when
to
it
give.
gets-
any
Yeah.
run.
Yeah.
Especially for black and white
Well,
comic.
and it goes away, like, it was stopped being about zombies and then just people killing people, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I learned some, like, good slang in there, like, fey gaff, which means, they say it a lot in the comic book, and it means watch out.
Oh,
So I
see,
started using that for the kids I would nanny, and I would be like, fey
people,
gaff,
people always say you never learn something from this podcast. Well, you just did.
fey gaff.
Maybe the one and only time, but there it is.
Yeah. Hey,
Fake ass.
you get one a year.
Welcome.
Yeah.
What's the biggest difference between France and the United States?
Oh, boy.
That's
if
a
you
good
had
one.
to choose one,
The food?
the language.
The people.
Honestly, if I had to choose one, the fact that it's such a small country, like it's the size of Texas, and yet you could be like at the ocean, at the Mediterranean Sea, in the mountains, like in the Alps, and like all these different like geographical, like very different areas in
Yeah.
like such a short amount of time.
Is it taboo to wear sweatpants out in public in France? And if so, how do we bring that to America?
I would say yes. And the first time I came back to visit, I went to the plaza, and it was like over Christmas, and everyone was wearing leggings and Uggs, and like performance fleece, and I was like, what is?
At your leisure.
And I put on jeans and a button up, and I was like, oh, I feel slouchy. And then I went out, and I was like, oh, I'm in Kansas City.
Everybody wears slacks in France?
Not slacks,
Yeah,
but
Hagers.
like girls wear like mini skirts all winter.
Okay.
And like leather vests.
Ooh la
They're
la.
put together.
Is that,
They
is that
really
French?
are. It is. It means
It is French.
What does it mean?
It means oh no, but no one uses it.
Oh.
Ooh la la means oh no.
Yeah.
I've been
Means,
using
oh,
ooh la
no.
la way wrong.
Well, but people in America use it as ooh sexy.
Yeah.
And like they do that there. It's like ooh la la. I could speak with a French accent for the rest of the night if you want. I do a really good one.
Yeah.
We'll reintroduce you as someone who won a contest
Yeah.
to be on First Issue Club.
I am so excited to be here. I came here from France, and it was a long flight.
I
It's so
love
good.
making fun of foreign people on this
I
podcast.
I was told Ira Glass was going to be here. I don't.
Wouldn't that be the worst if you
You want a radio contest to be on an American show?
and then you had to be on our podcast?
We flew her in from France to be on this podcast.
So where's Ira? Monsieur Ira?
He's running late.
Okay.
Well, one thing
Sorry.
before you get in the news,
What?
sorry, Greg. Hey, Greg.
There's a lot of people in this room.
There is. We're gonna slim it down to 4 when we get to like the actual episode. So if you're having a hard time with 5 right now, just stay with us.
If this is way too much.
Greg, I'm sorry for last episode. We were hard on you. We were.
Oh my gosh,
the
this
bit.
again.
The bit was
Don't ever apologize for the bit.
okay. It was a bit though. I'm glad you know it was a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Our love for you is strong.
Okay.
We're gonna do another Patreon episode where we cover Batman '86 because it's kind of a number 1, but it's not a number 1. And James Tynion is now taking the mantle of writing Batman,
Right.
and it looks to be pretty good. So we're gonna throw it up on our Patreon.
One of
Yes.
our favorite indie comic writers
Yep.
writing a big boy.
There's a tease. Ooh la la.
So this is the perfect time to subscribe to our Patreon if you haven't already.
I just did it the other day. It's pretty easy.
It's pretty easy and reasonably priced, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would say so.
Oh.
So reasonably priced.
What a shining
With-
endorsement.
With all the extra content we give you there. Why
I mean,
not?
I'm just thinking I better get a goddamn sticker.
oh,
I've been asking for a year.
we should have brought you swag. Shit.
What the hell?
I brought
right,
I brought
I'm
you a
out.
graphic novel.
That's true.
Bribery
Can I
works.
put it on my
BK came
computer?
with gifts.
Yeah. Now we can do news.
News. Anybody got any? Iran's pissed.
I only have so much time in my day for wars.
Oh.
That's my take on this. How much time do you have realistically to dig into the nuance of exchanges of just hateful negativity, fear shit? I'll say that it puts some things in perspective, like the kind of scare and like mood that America has been in like the last day has like I'll get like served an ad on Instagram and I'll be like, this ad means nothing. What these people are selling means nothing to
Yeah.
anyone. It's pointless. There's bigger problems going on. Same thing with like the bushfires have also kind of like anytime a big event like that happens, everything seems stupid to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
So much seems trivial.
In some ways, maybe you should just live life like that.
Live life like every day's World War III.
Well, the bushfires are happening while I'm like signing up to be a Patreon, and I was like, I was a little bit like, oh, I could be
Don't
giving
listen
money
to Shannon.
No.
These
no,
four
no,
nerds
no,
need
no,
my
no.
money.
No. Come on.
Hey, that koala's
I
already dead.
chose you guys over the millions of animals.
And we
What
think
have they done for you?
You could do it both.
lately?
Yeah.
Buy another pair of earrings, and I'll do both.
There we go. The other, and I hate this, but it's like we live in Kansas City, and so I was kind of like, if there is World War III, this is so. But let's not talk about this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is,
Next.
This is not
Next.
fun fare for
No,
a
it's
comic
not,
book
yeah.
podcast.
New Mutants trailer came out.
Yes, it did. Who watched it?
I didn't know that.
You sent it to the chain, and I didn't watch it. I'm
I
sorry.
watched it.
I watched it.
Do I need to watch it? Does it look amazing?
Yeah, it looks pretty good, actually.
Here's the thing, though. I'm nervous about it because that movie's been sitting in limbo forever. Always a bad sign.
Pun intended.
Yes. Although I think
see.
that in some ways they're like waiting for some hype to build on New Mutants. Maybe I don't know.
No.
You don't think that's
well,
true?
they had a lot of revisions or changes to make, right?
Okay.
It went through 2 reshoots.
God.
Which is not.
What?
It's hard to
rough.
salvage a
Is
movie,
it a
I
movie
think.
or a TV show?
It's a movie.
It's a movie. It went through 2 reshoots, and this was all happening while Disney was buying Fox. So it's like that may have messed up its release.
But Fox is the same production company that just did the Dark Phoenix movie that everyone hated.
True. Different director, though. Different kind of feel.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like Dark Phoenix was rushed to get out to bookend their X-Men movies in general.
Maybe they took note of that and decided not to rush this one.
I would
if
agree.
they knew it wasn't going to be
Good.
solid.
Yeah. I'm setting my expectations low. That way I'll hopefully be pleasantly surprised. I'm a fan of many of the characters that were born out of New Mutants. Not necessarily a New Mutants fan,
Yeah.
but a fan of several of the characters.
I hope it's going to be good. Another trailer that I saw this week, which I hadn't seen yet, was the Wonder Woman trailer. You guys seen that? I know it's
Yeah.
a little bit old news.
Yep,
It looks fucking phenomenal.
it really does.
Mm-hmm.
It looks amazing.
Although I have to set my expectations low for everything now because I don't want to freak you guys out, but I saw my first movie that I didn't like.
What was it?
Star Wars. That's where I saw the Wonder Woman trailer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't
Yeah.
like the new Star Wars?
No.
Uh-oh.
But I always like everything.
Yeah.
So now I don't know.
Wow,
Now,
That
I
really
don't know.
surprised me.
That's
that
a
you
don't
didn't
know.
like
big.
it.
That's a big
Yeah.
diss on Star Wars.
2020 started with some major shakeups. Caitlin didn't like her first thing.
I know. I
Wow.
don't know what I'm going to do.
I didn't like it either, but we don't have to get into that.
I like.
We'll get into it. Too many women.
There we go. Too many women kissing. You said something else that was newsworthy. I felt like.
Me?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Potpourri me.
Potpourri.
The library thing?
Oh yeah, Shannon brought this up actually.
Do you want me to say it?
Yes, share the news,
Let me bring
Shannon.
it up. The New York Public Library names Marvel Power of Girl and Ironheart among 2019's best books for teens.
What was the first one?
Marvel Powers of a Girl, which apparently is like a book that talks about all the female like superheroes and has like really great illustrations and like very like woman empowering.
And then they also named Ironheart.
Ironheart, and it's not best comic book; it says best books for teens,
I'm in.
I agree
for
with
that.
and it's the New York
Finally.
Public Library. So
This medium's being taken seriously
Yeah,
by
we-
the New
we
York
did it.
Public
Yeah.
Library.
That's as much affirmation as this podcast needs. We helped.
We did.
We helped. We
Did
did our
that.
part.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Ironheart was great. We covered it last
I
year.
remember that episode.
And like some fun things happened in it. I didn't stay up on it, but good. That's awesome. I'm glad that it's getting the recognition like that.
But the good thing is that she's still a character in the Marvel U and will continue to be.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she could have very easily just disappeared into the ether of Marvel.
Like that was a wild
Heroes,
ride, and
yeah.
that's done now.
Yeah.
Like Star will.
You think she will? I don't know. From reading this book.
Spoilers.
I don't know. Yeah, we should talk about that at some point. Maybe this episode.
I think this episode's probably the
I think this is
perfect time.
Perfect time to talk about it. It's a number one. Came out this
It
week.
is a number one. It's not an 86.
If you guys are okay with it, we should probably cover it.
Well, on that note,
Let's get this podcast started. I guess.
started.
Start it.
Started.
Start it.
I think one time we should end the episode by saying, let's get this podcast finished.
Podcast.
God. I thought, you know what? We could have just left it just dangling in the air.
You know me.
Yeah. Saw that low-hanging fruit and was just like, I'll take some of that. Delicious.
Free.
Delicious,
Do you think-
idiot.
Caitlin feeds off of making Greg look like an idiot.
Apparently he does.
Delicious.
Listen, they're called kinks for a reason.
Here we are again.
First, we are going to get into Star from Marvel, which is a spin-out from Captain Marvel. Caitlin, give us a little rundown of what Star is.
Okay. I didn't know. I didn't have any knowledge going in, so
That's the best.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna give a rundown from that perspective. So Ripley Ryan was a reporter, got kidnapped and made into a super soldier, powered by the Reality Stone, tried to kill Captain Marvel, who then punched her in the chest, and now she's a fugitive from the raft, or just got released from the raft. We don't really know.
Fugitive.
Fugitive.
Can't confirm.
And on her way to villain / possible anti-hero status in this 5-issue run.
Frenemies.
About as convoluted as you'd like any superhero comic book to be.
It had some heavy hitters pop up throughout, but I will say that I really, really liked that it was largely female character driven. A lot of the, like, they let the characters breathe and play around a little bit like you've only previously seen with some of the male character development in superhero books.
Did we say?
I don't know if that was
Did we
cohesive
say?
at
Did we
all.
say who created this book? Did we do that yet?
I'm
The
not
writer
sure.
is Kelley Thompson.
Yeah.
Who also wrote Captain Marvel,
Marvel.
which
and created Star
was
right?
the arc that introduced Star, which
Yes.
I'll say which I think is noteworthy, was like a huge thing in that run. And I think the only reason they actually gave Star a book, period, was because the book that introduced her went into several reprints.
Yeah.
Kind of based on spec.
Yes.
I think people were like, ooh, there's a first appearance of a new hero. Turns out it was like twist, just a villain. Was probably going to be a throwaway character, but people really latched on, so 5-issue miniseries, see how it goes. One thing I really enjoyed about this, in addition to what Caitlin said, there's a lot of breakaway conversation that I thought was really nice and let you learn a lot more about this character, because there wasn't a lot of depth for her in the Captain Marvel run, period.
Kelley Thompson is also on Deadpool right now,
Yes.
and did the West Coast Avengers. Is that right?
Yes.
We gave her the honorable number 6 best author in 2018.
Yeah.
And I think that now into 2020, she is coming around as like top 2, top 3 Marvel writers.
She's definitely been cutting her teeth for a few years, and I think it's starting to show that they're really starting to trust her with these new, more mainstream titles, such as Captain Marvel, Star. You know, I think she's really proven herself that she can handle these big titles and these big roles, and she's writing characters that audiences are connecting with, which is why we're reading this Star #1 book.
Yeah.
Started from the bottom, now she's here.
Did you
There
get back?
is-
Oh, go ahead.
Did you find it?
I've been boiling on what the fuck I was going to say.
Speaking of boiling,
Ooh.
there's a scene in this book that I thought was really funny where she's sitting at the bar and kind of like going over her grizzled thoughts about what has happened to her and how she's going to control herself and what she's going to do next. And in the background are all these like brawls, like people flying through the air, bottles being thrown, like people getting knocked into other things. And I just thought that was kind of funny.
She's at a secret bar for villains, which I didn't know existed in the Marvel
pop-up
universe.
bar.
I loved it.
It-
I thought it
no
was so
name.
cool.
I thought that was really smart. Yeah.
But it did have a name.
Oh, what was it?
It was like they said it.
I
in
know,
the-
that bugged me. Why does the bar with no name have a name?
I thought it was where it was.
Oh, maybe
Oh,
it was just
fuck.
a location.
Yeah.
Where
We're
it is.
dumb.
It's located in Ambrosia, but that's not the
Okay.
it's not the name.
Got you.
One of my favorite things in this comic book is Loki makes an appearance with a Loki-shaped trucker hat,
Yes.
Pretty cute.
which is pretty awesome.
Great
He's trying.
Loki
He's
accessories.
trying to get the stone that is inside Star's boobs.
She's a reverse troll doll. It's not in her belly button, it's in her cleavage.
Yeah, in between. Which is where the cleavage is.
We don't.
Good night. Let's do a quick anatomy lesson here for Budget King.
I understand a little bit about boobs.
I've seen them.
Just enough to be dangerous, sounds like.
So, Greg, you read the entire Captain Marvel run. Am I correct?
Yeah, I think it's still going.
Yeah,
Correct?
it is.
Yeah.
But the Stars arc has completed, and we've moved on from that.
Yes.
Do you remember any rationale for why Star has the Reality Stone in her sternum?
I think it was put in where the hole was punched.
Right.
I really can't recall why it was used.
I don't think we know.
Did that happen
Who
when they
put it-
took her to make the super soldier stuff happen?
It must have.
Who put it there?
We don't.
It's this doctor. No, hang on. I found it.
Well, the Kree
mentioned a
doctor
ca-
gave
yeah.
her the powers.
Right.
I don't know if the Reality Stone is a part of that powers or the Reality Stone
oh, like
was.
the super soldier powers are
Mhm.
distinguished between.
Yeah.
Oh, she might. Okay. And why is she bad?
She's not bad. She wanted to be a superhero because of Captain Marvel. She was like jealous because Captain Marvel had powers and she wanted powers because she thought she could do a better job than Captain Marvel.
Okay.
That's why she sought out the Kree.
And then shit got out of control and she got power crazy.
Yes.
So one of the things that I really enjoyed about this book, having some previous knowledge of the character, was bordering on, is she going to be a good guy or a bad guy? And I think this arc is going to take us in one direction or the other, and we're going to get some resolution there.
Yeah.
And that might leave us some interesting places for this character moving forward, unless she dies at the end of this. But I thought they did a really good job of still making her a dirtbag, but still being somebody that you can hold out hope for.
She's like, just her personality kind of resonates as a female Frank Castle. To me.
Sure.
I dig that.
Because she isn't really redeemable in this first issue.
Yeah.
But she's not altogether unlikable.
Yeah,
Right.
she's not heroing,
No.
but she's not necessarily doing anything wrong. And she's also like kind of stumbling into trouble and stuff. So it's like you kind of want to see her like maybe get out of it because she didn't necessarily earn it.
Does it also seem like the Reality Stone is kind of taking control a little bit? She's talking to it, and it's like responding to her. Like that, we get the different font with the different kind of coloring as well.
Yeah, that's how she uses its power.
Yes.
Is to talk to it.
So
to
I
tell
think
it.
it's like she's battling that, and I mean, sooner or later, that stone's gonna have to come out of her. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think a person's supposed to have a Reality Stone in them for too long, and I think someone's gonna be coming looking for it anyway. I mean, Loki knows where it's at.
Unless you're Vision. Unless you're like a...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vision's a robot, though, so
Right.
he can't get Lyme disease, which Infinity Stones give you if they're inside you too long.
Did
and
not
that's no
know
joke.
that.
Lyme disease is no joke.
Thank you,
Justin
Greg.
Bieber has it.
Does he? He's the poster child?
Speak on that.
I just found out. I'm pretty beat up about it. He has Lyme disease. He says it's been affecting him mentally, physically. It's like just a different person than 3 or 4 years
Do you
ago.
think an addiction to Sprite is lemon Lyme disease?
Oh, boy. Thank you for joining First Issue Club. This will be our last episode.
Because Greg's got it real bad, guys.
We normally edit out all of Caitlin's jokes.
That one's staying in.
That one's staying
No, that
in.
one's, solid. I couldn't even riff on it. I was like, I think you
Yeah,
said...
I was like blown
Yeah,
away.
you said the only rhyme. It's not. You got lime and lemon lime. And that's it. I think. Is it limes? Like the prop? Is there a Mr. Lime that owns the disease?
Yeah, Jerry Lyme was the first person to be, like, categorized with it.
Jerry Limes.
He's just like, oh, it hurts. I don't know why. I'm so tired.
I'm Dr. Lyme's disease.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lyme's disease.
It's not First Issue Club if we don't take a bit 1 minute past spoil.
We even talked about how we couldn't get it further, but we did manage to get it further.
Ay.
It's just because we have a guest.
Yeah, we're showing off. We're really flexing on our guest.
Don't blame it on me.
There were some heavy hitters besides even Loki in this comic book.
Yeah.
Um,
Scarlet Witch.
Jesse Jones.
Yep.
Yeah,
Titania?
Titania?
Titania? I don't know. How you say
badass bad guy, Titania.
Yeah.
it.
Titania.
Titania, more like it.
You got to say it really fast.
Also, she did have some huge boobs.
Oh my God, I
She's
was
a-
in love.
From a guy that doesn't know what cleavage is.
Right.
Spiked shoulder
What is that
pads.
smushy part between your boobs? My God.
The most beautiful woman to me is China, R.I.P.
Who's China R.I.P.?
Well, she's you can't say her name without she's dead. So I want to say all right. I want to be respectful.
You're being respectful.
Yeah,
Okay.
Hunter Hearst Helmsley's ex-wife, China, the wrestler,
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Who also looks like Titania.
She does.
Not R.I.P. She's very much alive.
Yes, not R.I.P. Yeah. Do we have to say not R.I.P. for everybody that isn't alive?
A.I.P. Alive in peace.
Yes.
All right, can we do, since Greg and I have read it and you guys have not read the build-ups to this, can we do an around the horn, will you, won't you, number 2? Are you interested or not?
Oh, sure. Okay. Who do you want to start? Me? I'll go second.
Yeah.
I will. Yeah. I'll pick it up.
That was your answer.
Yes.
I thought you were saying you will go first.
I will pick up issue number 2.
Great.
I'm invested in the character.
I am as well, and I liked the way it ended with Scarlet Witch coming in and promising answers immediately, and I think we'll probably actually get some real answers instead of like stringing this along like a bad soap opera forever. So I'm stoked for second issue.
I will. Partly selfishly because it's not going to be a very long run.
Yeah.
So it could be pretty quickly contained in a fun read start to finish. that doesn't require an over investment. And also, I think the characters that are going to be guiding her, if this first issue is any kind of a gauge, to have Loki, Jessica Jones, and Scarlet Witch form whatever kind of hero or anti-hero she's going to be is interesting enough to me to see where it goes.
Reading this book alone and not talking to anybody about it, it's not that great because there's a lot of like weird dynamics of this character that don't quite make sense. It's super fun and it's like a really dynamic character though. But after talking about it and hearing you guys talk about it and like listening to a little bit more about her lore, I was like, oh, this is awesome. It's cool to be jumped in to like a new character. So I will. But I think had I not had this conversation, endorsement for this podcast, I will continue.
You know what? I just thought of something else. We talk about the staff of one, or the staff of one with the Runaways. Operating the Reality Stone is a little bit like that. I mean, you can duplicate what you're telling it, but you still have to. It's a power that you have to outwit.
Yeah.
You have to make that power match your situation uniquely so that you can win whatever you're trying to do, which is interesting.
Yeah, the conflict with Jessica Jones at the end where she circumvents the ask that Riley has put on her.
Yeah.
And says, you didn't say don't kick your ass.
Yeah.
Because I'm still fucking pissed at you. I'm going to help you, but I'm fucking pissed at you.
Does it also have the power of where it's like you can't say the same incantation twice?
No.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But
All right, that was the star.
Yeah.
Not the star, just star.
This is Star. Thank you for listening to Star. Now we have The Clock out on Image / Top Cow. An interesting book out from Image and Top Cow. Caitlin, why don't you set us up here and we'll get ready to talk about it.
this one is a very short one-sentence synopsis. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
Very
can't
short.
wait. Yeah, I like it.
Exciting.
Weaponized cancer, heavy research.
Yes.
Ooh.
You ever wanted to hear a book
I think it's missing one thing though.
on the
Sorry.
science of cancer? Here it is. Go ahead.
Overpopulation.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah.
Yep.
Punch you right in the head with that.
And like 50% of the world's population going away within the span of a
Ugh,
month.
that was the best part.
I know. When I heard that, when he said that stat, I was just like, okay.
So
Okay.
the one thing I was going to add is that, and we don't get it in this first issue, but the synopsis and some of the stuff I was reading said that we may find out, we know that the lead cancer researcher, his wife has passed.
Mm-hmm.
But what we don't know is that she passed due to cancer, and then he's going to watch his daughter start to succumm to. So, I don't know if that changes any feelings or
Cool.
thoughts about where
Thanks,
this book
editor's
is
notes.
going.
I didn't read the editor's notes, but that was definitely the vibe I was getting because I saw the preview of the next cover and it was his daughter, and I was just like, oh. And he was talking about like the genetics, and if you're predisposed to it, you're basically guaranteed to die.
Yeah. Those editor's notes were dense.
Oh, I mean, I think they called it science lesson, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and
Science
then
classes.
he tells you that he's written all these hard sci-fi books about all these like other hard concepts that he kind of like previews, I guess. I don't know. It's hard sci-fi is a tough genre, and then sticking it into a comic is an even tougher thing to do. This audience is like, I don't know. It's gonna be pretty niche. Although
You think this is sci-fi?
I think it's hard sci-fi.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I think like he called it that. It's probably more in the realm of like viral apocalyptic like outbreak kind
Yeah,
of like
that's what I
thing.
was feeling.
I don't know. Yeah, I would just following. I don't know that it's hard sci-fi, but it seems like that's what he's calling it. If somebody was trying to sell me on this book, it's like, it's a cancer book. It's like, I'm not gonna read it, but it read like impressively fluidly.
Mm-hmm.
That's one compliment I will pay it. Like it flowed very, very nicely.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get bogged down by any of the overly science words or like too much like heavy-handedness. I mean, it flowed really, really well. Art was great. I thought the artwork was cool.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
There's that striking scene in the cemetery
Yes.
where like everybody was having a funeral. There was like 15 funerals happening at once, and that was one of the most striking images I've seen in a comic book in a long time.
I loved that. And his daughter said something about it, like,
Yeah.
we're not the only ones. And
A lot of people are going to heaven today.
Yeah.
It's just like, yuck.
Dark.
But then the like squeaking out of the science of like weaponizing cancer and you kind of like unfolding to if you were a fan of the movie Outbreak or if you like I don't know what that's called, like viral thrillers that are like or it's stuff like I guess you're gonna like this.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's like it's kind of just densely dark.
I
Yeah.
liked the way it, like, I agree with all that. And, like, I was kind of like, well, this is meh, like, it's pretty normal. Like, there's an outbreak of something and everyone's going to die, blah, blah, blah. But then the ending, a little surprise ending, I'm not going to give it away.
You can't wait to
Where-
go all the
Yeah,
time.
you can get
Okay.
away. Yeah.
Well, the guy, so he gets out of this huge meeting and then this person runs into him, like, full on, like, knocks him on his ass. And he realizes he has this note from him in his hand and it says, "Your wife was murdered." As in, she didn't die from cancer. She was
Murdered by cancer.
murdered.
By cancer.
Mm-hmm.
When you guys deliver
Someone gave her cancer to kill her. You think that's what it means, or do you think?
It's like being weaponized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because he talks about weaponizing cancer.
I
in the
think
end.
Yes.
I think what it is the world is overpopulated and they're killing people.
When you guys go to
Under the guise of people getting this new like strain of cancer.
To deal, because then like the last page at the Smithsonian, I think that was my favorite part. The last page, group of students are at the Smithsonian and they talk about how bad overpopulation is and the numbers are supposed to be going up, but they're going backwards.
Yeah.
And this kid is like, then why are they going backwards?
Then why?
Dun dun dun.
What's unreasonable about that is like as if this like ticker is like
I thought that same thing. I was like, are there trackers in people?
Right.
How do they know the second a new
it's
person is born?
it's gotta be census reported on the average.
Yeah.
It's not like real time like are people
There's like somebody in every hospital
Yeah.
just like, oh,
Yeah.
life, death, life, death, life, death.
The other thing, okay, when you guys go to deliver a secret note, do you use the tactic of running into somebody or do you slip it underneath?
Yeah.
like,
No, you got to
yeah.
make them just everything in their hands has to fly out.
I like to like slip it into people's pockets.
There you go.
That's a better way to do it.
I try to
And they've
wear
been doing it
every
while they
article of
find out.
clothing that I own that is like not
Typically-
seasonal.
Typically, I go out to a thrift store. I purchase some kind of bonnet so
Yes.
that I can hide all of
15
my
scarves,
face.
trench coat,
Trench coat is a must.
and just
You've gotta-
full on linebacker. Boom.
And you wear a gardening hat tipped down.
Yep.
Yes. Wide brim. The scariest part of this book to me was in the notes where he has asked his scientist friends and they go into alarming detail on how you would actually do this.
Yes. And then the scientist is so afraid of it he won't name his name.
Yeah. One of them was, like, sorry, but you can't quote me on this information.
This book is heavily researched, and it actually made me. I own a handful of these other books. It made me want to go back and like check them out more, because I was like, "Whoa!" I didn't realize that Matt Hawkins was like so like invested in this world.
He's the president of Top Cow.
He is.
Yeah, he has been for like the last 20 years.
He's written some things that I've like liked a lot
Really?
before.
He wrote like Postal and Cyberforce, stuff like that.
Top Cow does not always win out with me. When
I can't think of a Top Cow book that I liked.
But I didn't want to go there, but I think that's true.
Well, what are some of their top? I mean, I don't know. I just don't know that it's a brand. Not
Liberty
a brand,
Meadows
but-
was on Top Cow.
Oh, well, that was good.
And I loved Liberty
Yeah.
Meadows. But that was more of a comedy book.
Right.
And Frank Chow did it, and he's an amazing artist.
I mean, were you distinguishing by genre, or was that just? I mean, that's a good Top Cow book.
That is a good. Apart from Liberty Meadows, I don't know what else I can think of.
There's one like Robo something that I liked a little bit. They have Witchblade.
Keep going.
Are you guys saying Top Cow?
Uh-huh.
Top Cow is the imprint of Image.
COW?
Uh-huh. Oh, Aphrodite 5. Artifacts. There's not,
Yeah.
it's not winning me out here.
Well, they don't have a lot of heavy hitters
Yeah.
that we.
The books that they typically
The
write
arena.
are like this hard sci-fi stuff with like a weird dystopian gear punk kind of feel to it. And
Don't they do some booby books?
on occasion, they dip their pen into some booby books. Voluptuous ladies saving the earth. One cleavage shot at a time. Vivacious.
Who is the
One
audience for
side
that?
boob at a time.
Who? That's a good question. Who is the audience for this book? People who love sci-fi or people who hate cancer? I say yes to both.
Do we know how long this series is going to go? Does it have a...
It can't be going on that long, I don't think, right?
I think this has to have
I would
an
be
end.
surprised if it was an ongoing.
Yeah. It'll probably end shorter than it wants
Let me
to,
see.
but
So what you're saying is...
You're saying there's a chance.
I'm saying
So you
I don't
weren't
know
a big fan?
anyone who's going to read this book.
Okay. I liked it enough to be interested to see what happens.
I liked it in that I haven't read a comic book like this, and I think there's a reason I haven't read a comic book like this, because
I didn't...
it's tough to sustain an audience on this idea of weaponized cancer, and that's like the basis of it. And this is Mike D isn't on this portion of it, but Mike D's big thing is like, am I invested in the characters, and do I care? I don't like the dad here, like. I get that he's a good guy and he wants to solve cancer. As a person, I don't really like care about him.
I'm going to solve cancer.
That's kind of the most generic like Miss America answer ever. Is like, what are you gonna do to fix the world? I'm gonna cure cancer.
I'm going to solve cancer.
I think that the only thing I want to see, I just want to see what the hell happens, like with the murder wife, the murdered
Yeah.
wife.
There are some unanswered questions here that are like,
Well, and play it out a little. If it's going to be this group of underground like bioterrorists that are fighting for basically a Thanos principle, like we can't sustain ourselves at the current rate of growth, is that not interesting? And does it become less of a science thriller and more of we've got to stop these guys from doing these things? With the added element of scariness that now you're not sure who's got it or who's going to get it is somebody that you... I think we read a book with that, the reporter, and the disease that she gets, and everybody had... You know what I'm talking about?
20XX.
Yes, 20XX.
yeah, which is great.
And that had that element of like anyone you know could be next. Anyone you know could be
Yes.
predisposed to
But
this.
the thing about that
quickly-
was like
You got a
that-
superpower
in
afterwards.
that, yeah,
Well-
you got superpower.
Right,
that,
but just...
that reporter was like had a very interesting dynamic love life. Like they fucked with her career, so you like care about her. There's like 20XX in the second issue is looking to be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Like that's a good comparison of why this comic needed more. What's your guys' like science thing? Like if you had to be like, I science out on something, like dinosaurs, space, mechanical shit, like robots, cars.
I really like space because I think we're like on the very beginning of like actual space exploration. Like we're in the very infancy of it. Like we're sending probes out. We've seen like the clearest pictures of Pluto that we've ever seen in our history, and like that's really exciting. We've listened to Jupiter. Like that's crazy. That's crazy stuff. In the next 20 years, we'll probably have a colony on the moon and Mars, which is wild to think about. It's just we are in this cool new dawn of space travel and space exploration. And then, we'll all be long dead before we even see, Star Trek ships out there doing whatever the hell they do. But it's just kind of fun to be present at the infancy of that stuff.
What's your guys' science thing?
I think, well, the most obvious boring answer would be like science of like our brains and our minds.
That's wonderful.
Because
that's great.
psychology is my career.
That's what you do.
But I also think, like, have you ever seen documentaries like What the Bleep Do We Know about quantum stuff? Like that
you know
is...
that guy like famously we talked about him. I think.
Did we? Which guy?
The guy that made that documentary is also famous for doing something other psychotic. And I think it's related.
Oh, cool.
It's related to Grimes.
Oh, what?
Yeah, continue though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that stuff just, I mean, I don't claim to even understand it, but it's just
Fascinating.
fantastic. Yeah, I will always be interested if somebody's talking about that or is willing to explain any
Totally.
kind of those things to me.
Shan?
Not to be a copycat, but also psychology, because I did study it for a while, and I just find psychology research and everything we can learn about people, it's just nuts, and I love it.
Yeah, and it's endless of the behavior and even on an individual to like societal scale. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Mental illness, and like that's coming out more in the mainstream, and like, oh, everyone has anxiety and everyone has depression, and oh shit, what are we gonna do about that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Distinguishing that too from like, hasn't this been how it always has been? And what are labels doing? And I mean, we might be able to talk about this for a long, long time.
That's awesome. Yeah. I nerd out on a lot of like science things only because it's like I'm not good at it. So I like to when there's an expert out there telling me stuff right now. So like right now I'm reading this book on like all the most unexplored places of the earth, whether it be like caves, bottom of the oceans, just like deep caverns, or like actually France's catacombs structure and things like that.
I have seen some videos that are spooky.
Oh, it's crazy. And just to think that there's so many worlds out there that like we don't even know about that are just below us, is like awesome.
What?
Oh, the spooky video. Have you guys seen it?
No, you've just piqued my interest completely.
so
now.
the-
The guy that gets lost.
What?
Well, tell your thing and then I'll tell my thing.
There, like in the 90s, there was a recovered VHS like camcorder, and they found it, and so they played the tape back, and it's this guy like he went down by himself. You're not supposed to do that. He went without like a crew
To the
or-
Paris catacombs?
to the catacombs, and so he's like having a good old time just videotaping, and he gets lost. And as the tape goes on, he gets more and more panicked and like freaked out and stuff. And like the last seconds of the tape is him dropping the camera, and you just see his feet just run off into like the darkness, and then the tape just runs until the tape runs out.
And it's like a horror.
No, it's like a real. It's not a horror flick. It's not.
What's the resolution? Do we know what happened to this person?
They never found the person.
What?
They don't know who that guy is. They never
And
found.
that person never claimed this tape, or no one's ever said that was me.
No.
And it was found down there?
It was found in the catacombs.
So
That's a real thing?
that sounds
I
like,
saw it on a Halloween special when I was in 8th grade, and I believe it to be true.
so the chapter in this book that could be true. That sounds insane.
Honestly, anything could be true. Whoa.
That's true. Whoa.
Whoa.
So
Slow down.
they had France had specifically Paris had a burial problem. Well, in 1971, in the 70s, they figured out, hey, this isn't sanitary, this isn't good. So they actually moved as many of these bodies as they could to a mass grave. So they're still called the catacombs, but they're mostly navigatable. And it's in theory, the system below Paris, it is rumored to be as big as Paris underneath the system of catacombs. And so did you ever see an urban explorer when you were in
No,
Paris?
I didn't know.
And so like there's kind of a culture of them that exists, and they'll like move, and there's a whole bunch of artwork like Banksy kind of like stuff that's underneath there, like mole people shit. So
But people live down there.
I don't think I said mole people shit, and I'm not sure there's mole people.
Okay.
Like
There's
that's-
no like.
There may be. Who knows?
Anyway, science is fucking cool. So good job, Matt Hawkins, for going science on comic books. I hope there's an audience for your vast amount of science books.
We need a little bit more science in mainstream, so I'm not mad at this trying to introduce any kind of science.
Do you know what's crazy about what he did here? Kind of reminds me of this thing I heard about. There is an innovation conference, and I forgot what it's called, but they essentially hire sci-fi writers to just come and write and like think of the craziest things and then connect them with actual scientists to try to like realize new futures. and they pay them to like ongoing like sci-fi writers just like keep on writing. This reminds me of that type of like linkage between like reality and like him trying to figure out, could he fix something in fiction that could be a problem later on? And
Can you weaponize cancer?
Really, that's what this book is about.
But could you stop it too? Like
Yeah.
I would imagine that would be where the thought process.
Because I don't want to
goes.
invent it if we can't stop
Well, and this guy's going like, oh yeah, you use this strain and then you use this strain, and then if you do this in this hemisphere during the summer months, then you can hit him with this, and it's like, okay, that's too scary that you already know how.
Let's
this would
keep
be
that to
achieved.
yourself.
Yeah,
Iran is
I
listening.
honestly thought that like listing it out in print, like, is that a good
Yeah.
idea? Like anywhere?
it. A teaspoon of this, a tablespoon of that.
Yeah,
I do think, other than the cancer, I really think that the overpopulation is going to come way more into it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure.
But so it sounds like you guys are not going to pick up.
I probably will not pick up number 2. No, I think that this was low on my.
With so many options week to week, this may make the cut of not being picked up for me.
The unfortunate thing is that as this podcast has gone on, it has made it increasingly harder and harder to have a book qualify into like the number 2s. This is what it feels like to be a reviewer of things, of like movies, and why they become cynical in the end, is that like now it's like, especially because it's our money, it's like, oh God, I'm picking up $50 worth of comics every week. I gotta slim up something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, but I try to give it a good. I just ordered a shit ton of trades of stuff that I was like, that I had meant to pick up that I didn't. Like Excellence, I meant to kept going on, and then I was like, fuck it, I'll just get it in trade, things like that. So
Yeah, if we got all these comic books for free, I would definitely review the second, third,
Fuck
fourth issue. Totally. Yeah,
Publishers.
any publisher.
yes,
that's not
please,
listening.
dear God, TKO,
Oh man, TKO has been so nice.
they're so cool.
Well, I guess the episode's over.
We don't end the podcast. We don't say we're done.
Okay.
Remember?
We always Sopranos.
We always
But
Sopranos.
I miss the days of when Mike T would say, what was it?
Bye bye.
Yeah, but it was something about babies.
Oh,
bye, baby.
Oh yeah, we signed
Bye,
up
bye,
with
baby.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's bring that back.
Yeah, for Shannon. Yes. Also, thank you for being our guest today.
Yes, thank you.
You can get more of Shannon on the Patreon, where you guys covered the Hill House book about a 18th century haunted doll.
Yeah.
Daphne Byrne.
Daphne Byrne. Sounds terrible.
Oh, and also
It was. Spoiler.
promote your jewelry, please. Budget King and I just bought earrings for our wives from Shannon.
Yeah, we should do the where can we find you? What
yeah.
kind of plugs?
So most of my stuff is private, but I do have a public Instagram and a website. It's Bien Fay Wares, which is BIENFAIT Wares WARES. And I, as of a month ago, do custom jewelry design. So, but it's been good. So I ship to the U.S. and Canada.
If you use promo code First Issue Club, you will pay base price.
You won't be overcharged.
You will pay $35 like everyone else.
Shipping
With
is
shipping.
regular.
Yeah, this jewelry is phenomenal. Shannon, you have been phenomenal. Thanks for
Oh,
joining
thanks.
us.
Oh,
It's been so
thanks.
great to hang out with you. And
What
have
do you? What is it? It's a long time listener, first time podcaster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How often are you in town?
Normally not that often, but if my
okay,
family's health keeps declining, you'll see me more
Oh,
often.
God. Well, I hope that doesn't happen, but I hope we see you more.
Thanks, Ed. Shout out to your stepdad.
Shout out to stepdad.
he's
He's
rec-
not going to listen to this.
He's recovering.
Yep.
right?
Yeah,
Recovering
he's fine.
well?
He's home. It's fine.
There we go. Yeah. Shout out to health in general.
Shout out to
Oh my gosh.
wellness.
Yeah. Yikes. Well, I'm sorry you're here in Kansas City under,
Yeah. Glad
bad
you're here. Sorry for
circumstances.
the reason.
Big
Yeah.
old Debbie Downer over here.
Jeez, let's end this episode before it gets any worse.
Every party has a pooper. That's why we invited you.
Every party has a grand slammer.
Dear
We
God.
wish you'd go away.
Mike D, take us out.
I'm Mike D's penis.
Oh my god.
I just wanted to say hello to you guys before I go back inside.
Inside.
So it's
Inside,
it's
inside
definitely
Mike?
He's an
uncircumcised.
inverted. He's an inverted.
Yeah.
Oh, I wondered if Mike just had you out for this section.
No, I keep warming the abdomen.
You remember when Mike's teeth said goodbye to everyone?
Oh, yes.
Same voice as my penis.
Yeah, it
a
is.
lot of my body parts have the same voice.
Yeah. Very pubescent, childish.
Me and me saying bye, babies.
Sorry, I took my headphones off. I was like, man,
You walked away like, what the fuck are you doing?
well, we had just gone on and on about like an
We'll
end.
do it live.
And then I was like, that seemed like an end, but then this was the actual end. So, my bad, guys.
Rude.
I misinterpreted the end.